So I realized that I had a big passion for audience development. And getting butts in seats, right? Getting people to the theater to see the shows that we were presenting. So I ended up working at Capacity Interactive. Capacity Interactive is a digital marketing consulting firm based in New York City. We work with arts organizations all across the country as well as some international. We work with them on all things digital marketing. I know that usually in this class there's like a sort of wide spectrum of different sort of art forms that people are interested in. So can I just see, like, by a show of hands, like, who's like a theater nerd? Yes. Who's like a music person? Cool. Do we have like dance people? Awesome. Film people? Sweet. What am I missing? Art, like visual art? Nice.
It's really nicely divided.
It's a very nice mix.
And the music is real, like half of that is actually there's several classical folks, including opera.
Awesome.
But there's also, you know.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Everything else, yep.
This is sort of just a spectrum of some of our clients. So we work with over 150 of the country's leading arts and cultural organizations. So we work with theater companies, ballet companies, modern dance companies, museums, performing arts centers, film centers, symphonies and orchestras. At our company, we primarily work with our clients on an annual retainer basis, which means they hire us for a period of time, usually about a year, if not longer, and we consult on all of their digital marketing. So that means running their Facebook campaigns, their Instagram campaigns, their YouTube campaigns, their display advertising, their search advertising. We also, at my company, have a whole search department. We have an analytics department. And we do sort of digital audits and consulting around like digital infrastructure. It's an awesome program. If you are looking for internships and you're passionate about the arts and marketing, come talk to me after because, again, it's a really fun internship program. Finally, we have a fantastic podcast series curated by our president where he interviews leaders and thinkers from inside and outside of arts organizations to help develop leadership skills. If you like podcasts like I do, or you have a long commute like I do, this is really awesome, and obviously you can get it for free anywhere you get podcasts. So this is a concept that was actually coined in 1999. It's a really, really old concept. But it's by this guy named Seth Godin, and he talks about permission marketing as being the privilege and not the right of delivering anticipated, personal, and relevant messages to people who actually want to get them. It recognizes the new power of the best consumers to ignore marketing. It realizes that treating people with respect is the best way to earn their attention. So, just to get us all like on the same page, I think a lot of this will feel familiar to you, even if you don't know the exact concepts. It will feel very, very familiar to you. So the world of marketing and media consumption has changed a lot in the last 15 to 20 years. It is the fastest and most dramatic change in communication in all of human history. So for many years as marketers, we relied upon the print media to tell our stories, right? So what this is called is, this is interruption marketing. So if you think about print media or television commercials, that's interruption marketing, because what you're doing is somebody is consuming their chosen media, right? They're reading the newspaper, they're watching their favorite television show, and then all of a sudden their experience is sort of interrupted by an ad of some sort, right? Like before DVR, before Netflix, if you wanted to watch the next segment of a TV show, you were sort of forced to watch a TV commercial. So again, that's interruption marketing, because you're interrupting someone while they're trying to consume their own media. And that worked really well for a long time. It was really the only option, and people would spend a lot of money buying print ads of something that might not be relevant to every person who reads the New York Times, but that was the way you had to do it. And it worked well for a long time, but very quickly and recently we moved into a world that is much more like myself on the left. We now are in a world where we have to tell our story in a very different medium. We have to tell our story on this tiny little screen right here. People are addicted to their devices. I'm sure that is no surprise to anybody in here. Raise your hand if the first thing you did this morning was check your phone before you got out of bed. Yes, me as well. The New York Times published an article like a year or two ago that said that 60% of people actually have device addictions. I think it's probably higher than that at this point, but we know that we're addicted to our devices. If you stand on the subway platform or anything like that, like you very rarely see people opening up the newspaper anymore, right? Everyone is on their devices. So we have to communicate now where the eyes and the ears are. So this is a survey showing time spent with different medium over the last several years. It's not updated yet with 2018, but you can see that over those years, radio and print are sort of staying steady, but declining a bit. TV is definitely declining, and time spent with digital devices is shooting up, right? How many people here have a Facebook account? Cool. Was there anybody who didn't raise their hand? Yeah, do you have an Instagram account?
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. So the thing is, when we're talking about advertising for arts organizations who don't have a lot of money, they don't have a lot of resources, especially if they're nonprofit, we have to make sure that we're investing the money properly where the eyes and the ears are. So if it is 2019, we have to make sure that we're not advertising anymore like it's 2009, right? Okay. So what this gets down to is the difference between permission and interruption. So marketing used to be all about how much money can I spend to sort of flood the TV commercial or flood the newspaper with these ads. And how many people can I sort of afford to interrupt? Now, marketing is all about how many people do I have the permission to speak to. So this is permission marketing from Seth Godin. Talks about permission marketing being about taking strangers and turning them into our friends, turning our friends into our customers, and then our customers into our evangelists. So it really mirrors sort of the traditional marketing funnel wherein we want to bring in new qualified users into our orbit. We want to talk to them and get them to be interested in what we have to say. We eventually want them to buy a ticket to whatever we're selling. And then we want them to have such an amazing time that they tell all of their friends about it, right? That makes a lot of sense. So digital marketing makes the traditional marketing funnel much easier, but what that requires is an investment in content. So again, it's easier because we have all of these different ways we can tell our story instead of just buying a print ad, right? So what this requires is this investment in content creation. So you have to think about what story you're trying to tell your audiences and what you need to do to tell that story in a modern and digital way. So you have this great content, and once you put that content out there, then you're gonna get leads. So leads can come in a lot of forms. You guys just studied email marketing, so a big form of permission or leads is getting someone's email address. I think you guys all learned how important that is, right, to get people into your orbit via email. Leads also could be people following you on Facebook, following you on Instagram. That's another way of people raising their hand and saying, I'm interested in what this organization has to say. People that you can talk to once you have something that you want to sell, right? So you're getting people in with this amazing content. They're saying, oh, I love your content. I'm interested in what you have to say. And then you continue to tell them your story. You continue to tell them why your arts organization is so important, so interesting, and why they should care about you. So now, once you do that, you have a pool of people who you can talk to once you need to sell a ticket, right? It's much easier to sell a ticket to somebody who's already interested in your organization, who follows you on Facebook, who knows what you're all about, right? So then hopefully they see the show, they have an amazing experience, your show is kick-ass, and then they tell all of their friends about it. And that's the evangelist piece. That's one of the most important pieces right now, because that's basically getting your followers, people who've seen your show, to do the work for you. What we try to get our clients to understand is that it's not just about that final ticket sale, it's about continuing to engage people so that people want to come back, so people want to bring their friends, because that in the long run is going to increase that bottom line. But let's dig into why, because this is something that we face a lot with our clients, especially with board members and stuff like that, understanding why we should invest in social media advertising more than print advertising, for example. Okay, so it's really important to create an effective social media strategy because there are over 2.2 billion people on Facebook, right? Like everyone is on Facebook. Obviously, YouTube has a large following. Instagram is rapidly growing. Also, I'm sure everyone knows this, but Facebook owns Instagram, so we think of those two more and more these days as one and the same. But if you look at these numbers, like Facebook and also Instagram are where the majority of the people are. So, a lot of people are saying to us like, oh, well, we need to make sure that we're on print advertising for the people that aren't on social media. Yeah, not everybody is on social media, but if you're talking about getting the best bang for your buck in terms of advertising, Facebook is where the eyes and the ears are. We always say at Capacity that Facebook and Instagram should be the number one line item in your marketing budget. That is where you should be investing the majority of your media spend.
Is there another platform that you felt like should be on there or might be up and coming that people like Sam and others in this world should be aware of? Or this is it? Yeah.
Reddit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reddit's interesting. I mean, obviously Reddit has a lot of users. We have not really as a firm ventured into Reddit advertising. I have a few clients that have and have not seen a lot of success with it because what makes Facebook so powerful, aside from just the usage, right? The fact that so many people are on it, it also has amazing targeting capabilities. We all know that Facebook knows everything about us. That's creepy, we know it's creepy, but if you're trying to advertise something, it's really powerful to be able to use the tools within the Facebook advertising platform. I sort of teed this up, but Facebook usage is prevalent across all ages. A lot of people say to us, oh, the youths, they're not on Facebook anymore, but I think you guys just proved to me that that's not necessarily true. Again, when you talk about the incorporation of Instagram, that's certainly not true. So, what I always like to say is if you are an arts marketer and you are trying to find people to sell your tickets to, they are on social media. So, to be effective on Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising, it takes an investment in really good content. So what you're looking at here is the worst Facebook post I've ever seen in my life. This is from an arts organization that will remain anonymous, but I think you guys will probably agree that this does not make me give a shit about this arts organization at all. Like, these photos, I don't totally even know what they're doing. I think they're like loading in their instruments. It says preparing for the 25th anniversary season, cool. Why would I care about that, right? If I'm new to this organization, why would I care that they're preparing for their 25th anniversary season, right? The photos are terrible, the copy's terrible. I don't know any sort of action I should take on this. It's terrible, all around terrible. So much of why that one was terrible is because the imagery sucks. This is an interesting stat, is that when people hear information, they're likely to remember 10% of that information 3 days later. If a relevant image is paired with that information, people retain 65% of that information 3 days later. So it's so much about how you're going to tell your story in a compelling way to get people to remember what you have to say. So here's what I mean. This is an example from one of our clients, the Phoenix Symphony. This, again, like the copy is fine, but there's no image. So it doesn't make me want to stop my scroll while I'm sitting on my phone, right? We call that like a thumb stopping image, something that makes you go, oh shit, I want to look at that. There's nothing about this that makes me want to stop my scroll. So we updated this post with just like a simple stock image. This was to sell subscriptions for the Phoenix Symphony. It's not the world's most compelling photo, but it makes me sort of see, like I could see myself there. It sort of evokes being at the theater in the seats of the symphony. It's something. It's better than no image at all. 70% content doesn't have to just be funny. A lot of clients would be like, well, that's not really our brand. We're not really like funny. But you have to think about what your brand is. Like, what do you want your persona on Facebook to be? So this is from Wave Hill in Bronx. They're one of our clients. And people go to Wave Hill because they have these beautiful, luscious gardens. And so that's the sort of stuff they put on their Instagram, right? That's what people want to see when they follow Wave Hill. So part of finding that 70% content is finding the social media sweet spot. So for your assignment, you will be finding 70% content. Remember that 70% content could be just fun images or funny memes or things like that. It could be beautiful images that are particularly relatable for that organization. But they also could be something where you find the social sweet spot, which is the intersection of what's going on in the world and what's going on in your arts organization. So this is all about being topical and relevant. I think that you guys will always notice this. I mean, you'll notice this more now that we're talking about it, but like when something is happening in the world, whether it's a good thing, whether it's a bad thing, like your social media is flooded with it, right? And if it's like a holiday, you'll see like 1 million posts for Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day, whatever it is. This is about finding that relevancy and being topical with your audiences. So this is about also like looking at what's going on in the newsfeed itself and how can you be part of that conversation. So this is just a classic social sweet spot post from the 92nd Street Y that they posted during Pride Week. This is, again, it's people expect to see these things in their newsfeed during Pride in New York City. So it's a way for them to tie their organization, 92Y, to what's going on in the world.
It suggests also that it's an interesting way to brand.
Totally.
Their values very.
Totally, and it says a lot. It says that they're an open and welcoming organization. It says that they're friendly to all people. So they're doing a lot with this simple message. This is another very nerdy music one. If you're a music person, have a perfect fourth. This is from July of 2013, but it's totally relevant, right? It's just a funny, like this is never gonna go out of style. It's always gonna be sort of evergreen, if you will. These are some social media sweet spots from Jazz at Lincoln Center, again, sort of connecting the jazz lover with what's going on in the world in that time that happens to be Halloween. Here's a really great one from Valentine's Day, also really old, but I think it's really cute and funny, especially if you're a dance person. Please be mine. And some of these are not even about like real holidays. I'm sure everyone has seen what I call like the fake social media holidays. This is hashtag National Wine Day. There's no real National Wine Day. That's a made-up holiday. But when your newsfeed is flooded with National Wine Day or National Dog Day or whatever it is, this is how you find ways to be relevant and topical in that conversation. This is another one. This is Motivation Monday. So obviously people see like Throwback Thursday, FBF. This is Motivation Monday. Hot dancers always do really well. So if you ever advertise for a dance company, hot dancers all the way. And dogs, always dogs. It was National Pet Day last week. And so we at Capacity put together our social sweet spot post. This is all of the Capacity Interactive employees with our pets. And I just couldn't pass it. Okay, so that's 70% content and finding the social sweet spot. Okay? Again, remember, finding the social sweet spot helps you find that 70% content that you balance.
It's like a subset of
Exactly.
70%.
It's a way into the 70% content. So once you do that well, once you give your audiences what they want 70% of the time, now you've sort of earned their trust and their permission to ask them for a sales message or ask them to do something by giving them a sales message. So this is where the ask comes in. So this is a perfect example from the Charlotte Ballet. It's for the Sleeping Beauty, and they're encouraging people to buy tickets, right? Tag your friends below and start making plans. They're basically asking you to buy tickets, right? You see there's like a little bit.ly link in there to get people to go to the website. It's still a beautiful piece of content. It's a beautiful image. I like the copy at the beginning, happily ever after is best spent with friends. Like it's not a stale piece of sales message. It's still a good sales message, but it's a sales message.
Time span of giving a green light to do the call to action?
You mean like how long between like when you did the 70% content and the 30? You know, that's a really good question, and our clients often ask us like, is this a hard and fast rule? Do I literally do like 3 70% posts and then 1 30% post and then 3 and then 1 and then 3 and then 1? No, like it's not a rule. Like I obviously can't control what you're ultimately gonna go do. It's sort of a best practice that we use the phrase 70-30, but like really think of it as with however often you're posting, make sure that you're erring on the side of posting more engaging, enjoyable content for your users than you are asking them for something. So if every time, if you work for like an arts organization on campus or something like that, if you find yourself constantly just posting stuff that's asking them to do something for you, you need to sort of recalibrate it and think more about what am I giving to them. So it's not hard, it's not like a timeline, like you can do it after you've done 3 posts. It's sort of a balance like that. So this is another example of the 30% content. You've earned the right to do this now because you've done all of this great 70% content. I really like this one from the Art League. They're amazing content creators. If you're a visual artist, you enjoy that. What I really like about this is they've taken artwork from their exhibitions and they've put it on here, and they have a really great punny line, what's your perspective? It's great. It's a 70% piece of content. It's asking people to sign up for classes, but it's still really enjoyable. It's a great piece of content. This is another great example, also sort of a hybrid. This is from Steppenwolf in Chicago. They are asking people to buy tickets for the Rembrandt, like that's, get show info here. But this is a great video that's sort of like a behind the scenes, like time lapse thing of a guy getting ready for performances. So, again, our clients ask us a lot about like how strict is this rule, all of that. In my opinion, a 30% content really should be a hybrid of 70-30. It should not be just a boring sales message. It should still be engaging and interesting to people. This is from the Guthrie Theater. They had a production of Blithe Spirit. They have this quote up here from Noel Coward, and they have a video of someone making a martini, right? It's very, I don't know, I really like it. I think it's just sort of a fun way to explain to people sort of what they're getting into with this play, but they're still asking people to buy a ticket, right? Tickets are still available, martini's not included. So this was right around the time that that was coming out, and it was in November, right before their production of the Nutcracker was coming out. So all they did was just posted an organic post. Remember, that's not one that's being advertised, it's just an organic post. And it just had, as Lorelai Gilmore would say, I smell snow. And it did so well because that's social sweet spot, right? That's like what's going on in the world and how it relates to your organization. It performed so well that we actually ended up adding in this Your Holiday Traditional Waits, See the Nutcracker, or The Nutcracker Begins, putting in that sales message, right? We turned it into a 30% piece of content, and then we used it as advertising for the Nutcracker. So this just sort of shows how something can go from a 70% content and actually be leveraged eventually as a sales message.
I want to just draw out something also there, if you don't mind. You guys, not only just that it was creative and all that, and the timing and snow and Nutcracker, but you get the idea of picking your social sweet spot or whatever that 70% is, as it's targeting well.
Right.
Fans of, right? It makes sense why they would use that. Her smelling snow and not somebody else, right? Okay.
Totally.
So just important.
So the 70-30 balance that we've talked about is really sort of fundamental and sort of the beginning for coming up with your content strategy for any organization. There's a lot of other nuances in it that we usually dig into with our clients. If you're ever interested, like our content webinar is something that you could see if you sign up for on our website. But one thing that we do to help arts organizations come up with this balance, this content balance, is we encourage them to make a content calendar, and we actually make one for them as well that helps them like line up important days that are coming up, whether they're real holidays like Halloween or they're like arts related holidays like Bach's birthday or Lin-Manuel Miranda's birthday, whatever. And then they also put in sort of those fake social media holidays like National Wine Day, National Pet Day. So this I think is a really great resource that we come up with for our clients. If you sign up on our website, you can get it as well. And we really encourage our clients to sort of plan out what they're gonna do on all of these days so that it's not like, oh shit, I need to do a 70% content before I do this 30%. plan out what you're gonna do in advance so that you're not sort of constantly feeling like you're behind the 8 ball with coming up with content.
Yes, when organizations post ads like those on Facebook, do some of them, do they use like tags so that people could find it, or is that just like a regular post on there?
Boosting it,
On
so
their
you're
page?
saying boosting it, paying
Yes.
to be boosted?
You mean to advertise
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that in
That's
just a
separate,
second.
right?
Yep, exactly. That's sort of separate. Right now, everything we've been talking about is just like the content that organizations post on their page for people to see.
But it's a
sort of
very
organic.
important point in that, and that's what she was saying, every single time she comes, and I get more and more that sense of, oh, now only this percentage of people see it, now only this percentage of people, which has frankly helped reaffirm uses of email and others as important in your mix, right? So we're gonna talk about that. Mariah, did you have your hand up?
I was going to ask a question about this 70-30. So if you when you're finding advertisements for that type of situation, like how would you know which one is like a 70-30% versus like one that's like, one is like only 30% and one is only just 70%?
You mean like how do you identify like a purely 30%, a purely 70%, and one in the middle? It's totally subjective. Like you have to look at it and sort of analyze it for yourself. Like if I look at this, if for me, if it's a post that's like, buy your tickets now to our play, and that's it, to me that'd be a 30% piece of content, right? It's not really doing anything for me other than asking me to buy a ticket. If it's purely fun, and it's just like showing you a great video and it's not really asking you to do anything, that's a purely 70% content. To me, the last few examples we just showed are like nice hybrids of both.
So if a company is just starting a social media page, I'm assuming you would start with 70% content, just like not to throw promotional stuff right away. How long before you can start telling them to buy tickets? Or
It's a good question. I mean, I think it would really sort of depend on like your user base and like how many people you get to be interested in what you have to say. I mean, we're about to get into this right now, but the truth of the matter is like I said before, it used to be that you would post something on social media and everyone who follows you would see it. Now, if you're an arts organization with like, I don't know, 100,000 followers or something like that, I think it's as low as 5% of your fans will actually see it. And again, if you just think about like your own Facebook experience, like you'll probably notice more often than not, you're seeing posts from the same like 20 people. And then if you like do some cyber stalking and like go to like your ex-boyfriend's page, then all of a sudden Facebook's like, oh, you want to see from this guy now too. And then that person starts coming back in here. So it's an algorithm, right? Like Facebook wants people to see what they think they want to see. So if I engage with your content more, it's going to keep showing me more and more of your content. So that's all just to say that like organic reach is so low that you may want to think about doing some advertising in order to get more people into your fold. So like, let's say you started a Facebook page for a music organization or something like that. You may want to do some advertising to people in your local area who love jazz music or something. Give them a really great piece of content, but also encourage them to go to your website to learn more. So you might want to do sort of a hybrid thing like that. But in terms of like how long you do 70 until you can start doing 30, I think that you can probably start with a 70-30 balance right off the bat. It's just that much fewer people are going to see that 30% content until you've built up your base. So we're going to just go through quickly some case studies just so you guys can sort of understand what we as a firm do. So like I said, it's not just enough anymore to just like put your content out there. Facebook is an advertising platform. That is how they make money. So they have all these users and they want to generate all these users because they make money from advertisers. So because they make money from advertisers, organic reach is down, and that means that if you want people to see your message, you have to promote it. Okay, so what does this mean? So we talked a lot about the 70-30 content. So once you have that 30% piece, that's the sales message. Again, it's still fun, it's still interesting, but it is asking someone to do something for you. This is an example from the Seattle Shakespeare Company. Once you have that 70 or that 30%, it's time to get it out to more people. So invested $3,000 in media and drove over $14,000 in revenue for an over 300% ROI. So this is a really strong return on investment, where we calculated how much money we spent compared to how much money we brought in, and this was over the course of like a 4-week campaign where we promoted content like this to both new and existing audiences. So I'll talk about that, what that means right now. So like I said, this is not boosting, this is like a highly segmented marketing strategy where we talk to people in all sorts of parts of the marketing funnel. So this is if the funnel is sort of upside down here, but these are some of the various capabilities within the advertising platform. If we start at the very bottom of the marketing funnel, we're talking about people who are already in your orbit, people who know who Seattle Shakespeare is. So one of the really powerful tools in Facebook advertising is the ability to target people on a list, an email list. So if you are an organization and let's say you started a brand new page or something like that, but you have a list of people who have said they're interested in you they've given you their email address, we can actually upload that email address to Facebook and we can match it with Facebook users so that I can target my email list on Facebook as opposed to just in email. It's not just actually email anymore that they match to. They match to phone number, first name, last name, birth date, city, state. There's all sorts of criteria you can get used to match users on Facebook. It's a really, really powerful tool. Next, sort of up the funnel, we have retargeting. Those are, we basically with our clients, we put pixels down on their websites so that when someone goes to their website, we can then follow those people up with ads. So the classic example of this is like when you go to Zappos and you like look at a pair of shoes and then you don't buy them, but then you go on the internet later and like the shoes are following you around everywhere you go. Everyone knows that experience, right? Maybe I shouldn't use Zappos anymore. Does anybody still shop at Zappos or is it just me? J. Crew, whatever. So that's what retargeting is. That's like basically we're able to capture people's cookies so that we can then follow them around like for a certain period of time on Facebook. Then sort of in the middle of the funnel, we have engagement audiences. So those are either people who have followed you on Facebook, people who have engaged with your Facebook content, people who have watched your videos, people who have engaged with you on Instagram. There are all sorts of engagement audiences that we can build. And those are people who are sort of in the middle of their passage and becoming close with you. So maybe they haven't been to your website yet, but they have seen some of your content and have engaged with it on social media. And then sort of at the very top of the funnel, we have a few different what we call acquisition audiences. So audiences to bring new people in, people who have no familiarity with Seattle Shakespeare. And there's a lot of different things you can do on Facebook to acquire new audiences. You can target people based on specific interests. You can target people with different demographic parameters. Like let's say I only want to target women ages 18 to 35. You can narrow it in that sort of way. There are some things you can add in, like for job titles. You can target people based on what level they are in terms of education. There's a lot of things you can do. Obviously, it's all anonymous. Like you're not targeting a specific person. You're targeting people who fall into a group that you've categorized. You can target people who are friends of those who are fans of yours on Facebook. So let's say Maria is a fan of Seattle Shakespeare on Facebook, but I'm not. You can target me because I'm connected to Maria. And you can also use this lookalikes targeting, which is really powerful, where you give Facebook a email list or like a list of constituents and you upload it, and then Facebook uses their like very scary, powerful algorithm to find people that match up to people that they deem as similar to the people on your email list. Again, using like, demographic and purchasing behavior and all sorts of stuff like that.
Because they basically scan through profiles and get a sense of what that is.
Well, so the thing is, you actually all can go into Facebook and see like your ad preferences. Like Facebook deems what they think you're interested in based on what you interact with. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're very wrong. If you're ever in a situation where you feel like you're getting a lot of ads.
You mentioned cookies.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I go on a website and it says, like, can we allow access, I don't know. And so because I usually just let them accept it because I don't care, but So if I say no, then they can't track me? Or is
Yeah,
that
so there was like a law that was passed in the EU recently. It's called GDPR, and now I don't remember what it stands for, so I'm sorry. But the EU has cracked down on cookie-based tracking. So it doesn't really impact us that much because most of our clients are in the United States and we're just advertising to the United States. But if you go on a website of like a much more like global brand or something like that, and even if it's a more local brand, a lot of people are putting those cookie disclaimers on their websites now because, you know, people are very concerned about their own privacy, as they should be. And like, obviously I do this for a living, but I'm also concerned about my own privacy. My husband uses ad blockers, and I'm like, oh, but that's what I do for a living, but okay. Yeah, I mean, for sure, if you say no, then it's not gonna track you, and that's for people's safety, and I think there's gonna be more and more things that come out that are gonna prevent cookie-based tracking, and, you know, like I said, we're gonna sort of figure out what we can do for our clients when that time comes, but yeah. Do on Facebook at scale. So obviously the last example was a $3,000 media budget. This is a $30,000 media budget, driving $430,000 in ticket sales for an ROI over 1,300%. Insane. You know, Facebook is a really, really powerful advertising platform. And not only does it have amazing targeting capabilities, but it has amazing tracking capabilities. So you know that someone bought a ticket after they saw your Facebook ad, and that's really, really powerful. Now, I'm sure that there are other forms of marketing that were out there at the same time that may have impacted it, but when you put an ad in the New York Times, you don't know how many people actually saw it. You know what the distribution of the New York Times is, but how do you know how many people opened up the page and went to that specific ad?
And it's really expensive. It's
Really
much more expensive.
Really expensive. So, again, all of this finding success in Facebook advertising is about your strategy and how you target, but it's also about the content creation. So business to consumer marketers in North America are allocating 32% of their total marketing budget to creating content, not putting content out in the world, just making good content. We have a survey that found that most arts organizations are spending less than 5% of their budget to create content. So there's a huge disconnect between what arts organizations are doing and what the rest of the world is doing. That has sort of been the case always for arts organizations because we have limited resources. We don't invest in professional development. That's why we do things like this to help, you know, keep people aware. But in comparison to the rest of the world, we are under investing in content creation. You know, obviously for us, this is all about prioritizing, and there's a lot of things that we do at our firm aside from just Facebook advertising. I think it's like one of the more interesting for a group like this. But another big thing that we focus in on is search. And so search is obviously like how you appear on the Google search engine results page. So, you know, search plays a really huge role in people's path to purchase. If you think about your own experience, you might like see an ad for something, but then ultimately you don't click through right away. You might go back later and Google like film tickets at Jacob Burns Film Center, and like then you're on Google, right? So search engine marketing and search engine optimization are two things that help determine where you rank when someone searches for you. So search engine marketing is advertising, so placing specific ads that say Jacob Burns Film Center, and you'll notice there's like a little yellow ad thing in next to it. Just do a Google search when you're done with class and you'll see one. You know, theater tickets in New York City, whatever. So that's search engine marketing, that's paying to appear there. Search engine optimization, that is a more organic feature where you don't actually pay to appear, but it's how Google ranks you based on the meta descriptions that they read on your website. So they scroll when someone does a search, they do this like instantaneous sort of search in the ether, and they, based on how you rank, they place you in different orders on the search engine results page. So that's why we do work with clients to make sure that their SEO is built out in a strong way based on like how they have tagged things on the website so that you can appear there organically when people are looking for you, because search is really, really important for people's purchase path.
Keywords are really important.
Okay, so this is Seth again. I'm gonna let you guys read this, but basically we are now in a place where video is a key driver on the internet. Facebook went from serving 1 billion video views a day to now serving over 8 billion video views per day. So video is absolutely essential, and it's an essential part of your social media strategy. Video will account for 79% of all consumer internet traffic by 2020. It's huge. 26% of people reported online video as most influential in impacting their likelihood to go to a performance. It's really important. So people, especially when you're talking about selling tickets to an opera or a symphony or something like that, that can be really expensive for people. People will often go to YouTube or they'll go to Facebook and look for videos that will sort of demonstrate to them what that experience is like, right? Because you're about to invest a lot of money in it. Ooh. I'm gonna pause it because I wanna make sure we get through everything. People are really hungry for video. You can see here that 45% of people think more favorably about a show, and 68% of people were influenced, eventually purchasing, they were influenced by seeing a video. This is from a Google survey about performing arts ticket buyers. Okay, this is my favorite video, and I'm gonna play it for you. Dance porn. This video is like several years old at this point, but to me it's really evocative of like a shift that has happened with arts marketers, which is that we really have to value the importance of creating video now. It's what Coca-Cola and all these huge brands are doing, and it took a little while for the arts world to kind of get up there and understand how important it was to showcase the art that we're making, right? Like, again, we're not selling car insurance here. So this Boston Ballet created this video after coming to our annual boot camp, where the president of our company he did a presentation called Cut a Print Ad, Make a Video, talking about the importance of video on social media and how, like, for the cost of buying a really expensive print ad, you could manufacture and distribute an amazing video online. So this, it took them from concept to filming 60 days, filming to posting 75 days. So that's like, it's a substantial investment in time. It was a $10,000 budget. That's a lot of money to create a video. Remember, that's just creating the video. It's not paying to distribute it yet. So not all arts organizations can afford that, but when you can make an amazing video like that, it had a tremendous impact for them. They got 8.4 thousand new Facebook friends, 80,000 pixel users. So those are people on their website that they could follow then around with their sales messages. And it's very evergreen, right? It's not really tied to a particular performance or a particular season or anything like that. So it had like seasonal dividends, like they could just keep using it over and over again. So creating an amazing, compelling content, like piece of video like this was really impactful for them. Not everyone has beautiful, sexy dancers. Not everybody has $10,000. But if you're creative, you can do a lot with a little.
Booty candy. Booty candy. Booty candy.
Really, really simple. simple. This is from Playwrights Horizons for their production of Booty Candy, obviously. And all they did was they used their evangelists, right? They used the people who've seen their show, who love the show. They make this quick, fun video that did not cost them $10,000 like the other one. Still really, really successful. So what I like about this one, again, is that a lot of arts organizations are strapped with what to do before they have video or photography or something like that. This was a really dynamic thing that he made on his own computer using quotes from Julius Caesar in a really dynamic and interesting way. Again, using very, very few resources. Here's another one from the Guthrie Theater.
Okay, everyone, places. This is the final scene, so let's make this one count. And...
So I really like this one for the story behind it. So Guthrie Theater is one of my favorite and long-running clients in Minnesota. And they had a production of Romeo and Juliet where it was like sort of a modern interpretation with the Montagues and Capulets like all tatted up. And when we were running our campaign for them, like sales were really lagging. The marketing director emailed me and she was like, is there anything we can sort of glean from our campaigns to help us figure out how to like pivot and tell our story better for this production? So I did some digging for them and I found that through our results, the strongest performing audience were like the 18 to 26-year-olds. They were really responding to the content for some reason, which is not typically what you would always expect, right? Because it's a pretty young audience for Romeo and Juliet. But because they were performing so well, what she did was she's like, I need to come up with a good piece of video content that will like make like a younger demographic enjoy this even more. So she just sent her videographer down to the rehearsal room, or sorry, backstage where they were getting ready. Every Tuesday for the first performance of the week, they would all get tatted up. That was like a whole thing that they had to do. And so she basically did this behind the scenes video, but then like, you know, put this like quick editing together with it, this great music. And it was this really fun thing that she turned around in like a week so that we could speak to the right audience. So I really like that one. So we're talking about, remember, bringing people in and then sort of continuing to bring them on our journey until they eventually buy a ticket. So top funnel content really should be very accessible for new people. If we're targeting people who love theater in New York City, we want to get something that's really easy, short, digestible so that they want to continue to learn more from you.
Darkest days in our history. 38 planes with 7,000 passengers were diverted to a tiny town in Newfoundland. This is the true story of a group of people who found humanity and hope in a time of crisis. This holiday season, come celebrate the human spirit with a remarkable new musical, Come From Away, at Seattle Repertory Theater. Opens November 13th. Tickets at seattlerep.com.
What I really like about this one, again, top funnel, these are new audiences. This is a brilliant new musical, but it has no stars in it. It's not really recognizable. It's a story about 9/11 that most people don't know about. And so they had to find a way to tell the story about what the play is about to brand new people. So I really like the way that they use like the graphics of the words and then like the drawings of everyone coming in with the planes to make this really accessible for new audiences.
Whatever happens tonight is alright, 'cause it's never gonna see the cold hard light of day. Whatever happens tonight is okay, 'cause it's never gonna see the cold hard light of day.
This is another really great top funnel piece of content. It's from the MFA Houston. They had an exhibition called, what's it called?
Sculpted steel.
Yeah, Sculpted in Steel. And it's like, you know, it was like a fancy car show basically. And they had this really sort of sexy commercial that's really good for top funnel audiences to sort of draw them in.
So the idea is we're reaching basically broader audiences,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Not necessarily the nerd group. Right?
Exactly,
Okay.
broader audiences.
Right.
Then what you have are bottom funnel pieces of content. So these are people who are already sort of in your world. They understand what you're about. This is from the Actors Theater of Louisville. It's long, so I'm not going to play the whole thing.
Hey, what's up? How are you? I feel like I got a song coming on. Is that alright? A song coming on? Baby, now we got bad blood. Though it used to be mad love. The Count sing. The Count can sing. Yes, he can. What's going on, everybody? I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Howard Kay. I play the title character in Dracula, which is playing currently in the Bingham Theater at the Actors Theater of Louisville. And my good friend.
This is Andrew Garman. I'm playing Macbeth. In Macbeth, we open October 4th in the Pamela Brown.
Don't miss that. Listen, we're taking behind the scenes right now, a little cooking segment, because it seems to be the thing to do these days.
Right? But we're going to cook blood.
Cook some blood.
I'm going to show you how to make blood, the edible version, because the non-edible version has some laundry detergent in it, and we don't want to eat that. Then we might just eat some blood today. He does it every time.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it now, but you get the idea. They had two productions that were both using stage blood, so they decided to do this really fun behind the scenes thing with the two guys making blood. So you can see how this is not really great for a brand new person who doesn't even know that Macbeth and Dracula are on stage. But for somebody who's maybe been to the Actors Theater of Louisville before, maybe follows them on Facebook, this is a great piece of content for somebody who's sort of already in their world.
It was within Facebook or social media, and then we sort of understood that a lot of this is, digital. Videos in general, I think it's really important. I've got so many ads from them that were examples of videos. It's really important where those videos are strategized or distributed. Mm-hmm. So if you're just clicking through and it's only in the Facebook page, it's like clear that that's obviously more designed for your bottom funnel, or should, whereas if you found it outside world, maybe, through a YouTube channel or something like that, like just thinking through where it was posted, right? I just want to ask you about distribution.
I actually do an entire presentation that's all about video content and all about like where to put it, how to make good ones, how to use tools, on the cheap and stuff like that. So it's a complicated question.
Yes.
But I think, if you have good video or good photography, like you should put it on your social media channel, but also YouTube is a great place to put that, because YouTube is really good for like your more bottom funnel people, because they're like seeking you out, right? Like people spend less time on YouTube than they do on Facebook, so you can do YouTube advertising as well, but I sort of think as YouTube as a great place to hold all of your great content. And then sometimes, the shorter form stuff is really good for like Facebook, and obviously if it's Instagram, it has to be shorter, so.
Says that the top of funnel versus bottom, is it generally it's shorter for top of funnel?
I think it's a good rule of thumb. If you're making content, I would make it shorter. All content should be shorter. The average video view on Facebook is for 1.7 seconds. So like, we have literally shorter attention spans than goldfish, which is so sad. But like that means A, it should be as short as possible, and B, the very, very beginning of the video needs to be really attention grabbing so people want to watch the rest of it. But Facebook optimizes towards videos that are like 15 seconds or less.